I know there's this, cliche, like don't mix business and friendships and business and family. What makes you the most successful is you treat everybody like they're your family.
And right now in my hometown, there's only 6 active listings on the market, and none of them are below 445. If you've got someone out there looking at 300 to 400, and they want Waynesville School District, there's nothing to look at.
And probably will go down as the funniest, most embarrassing thing I've ever done in real estate so far.
All right. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to episode 2 of Behind the Glass. You'll probably notice that my co-hosts here today are a little more attractive than the gentleman I had with me last time. My name is Evan Kloth. I'm one of the owner brokers of Glasshouse Realty. And today I have 2 amazing women with me to go over just a number of different topics. One being spring into sold, as a topic of spring is here, I guess officially. And many people believe that spring is the prime time to buy and sell real estate, especially in our markets. We're also going to touch on other things that come up in terms of coming soon listings, Zillow preview, the whole coming soon enigma as it relates to clear cooperation rules, and really just anything that we want to talk about. But super happy to have these 2 women with me today. They are both Glasshouse agents. They are both stone cold killers in their markets. You meet people every once in a while where you go, you don't associate Waynesville, Ohio with anything unless, Jamie Gabbard. Jamie Gabbard owns Waynesville. Xanni Burton is here today. She absolutely owns Wilmington. You don't think about Wilmington and not think about Xanni Burton when it comes to buying and selling real estate. So super appreciative to have you guys here with me today on Behind the Glass. And I already said your names, but Jamie Gabbard and Xanni Burton, would you like to introduce yourselves and just tell a little bit about yourselves, maybe why, how long you've been in the business, where you're from, how long you've been with us at Glasshouse, all that good stuff.
Well, Jamie Gabbard, I've had my license since 2014. Fun fact that Xanni and I went to Hondros together and sat together at our real estate classes. So we've known each other from the very beginning.
Yes.
Just new to Glasshouse in December, so it's a big move for me. Very excited to be part of the family, and born and raised in Waynesville and have an office in Waynesville, so that's kind of my big spot to network in and know all of the people, so that really helps me with my business.
Absolutely. Very good. Xanni?
Yes, we did start from the beginning. Little babes. So I'm Xanni Burton. I am the manager of the Wilmington office. I'm the team lead of Lux Elite Group. I have been doing real estate for a little over 11 years now, and I have been with Glasshouse for coming up on 2 years. So we opened our office August of 24. I believe we made the switch in June. So yeah, it's been great. Born and raised in Lynchburg, Ohio, which is just south of Wilmington. But I actually ended up graduating from Wilmington because of soccer. So I had made a transfer, and that's how I got into the Wilmington. And then from then on out, that's just been my stomping grounds. That's what I call home. That's where my family is, my entire family. And that's where my husband's entire family is as well. So, yeah.
Very good. And I can tell y'all as a business, I've told you guys this before, but as a broker and business owner over the past 7 years, that Glasshouse has been something. Every so often you get an agent, and I look at Mo and Kunal and I go, oh my God, did we really just get Xanni Burton and her team to come over here? And then last year, at the end of last year, same difference with Jamie Gabbard. Just, feel really blessed. And then sometimes it's unbelievable. Sometimes to get the caliber of people and agents that you guys are wanting to join our family at Glasshouse. So super, super cool. Again, good to have you guys. What do you think about spring? I mean, is spring truly like, I think if you ask anybody, even people that aren't in real estate, spring. Yeah, that's obviously the ideal time to list your home. I mean, would you guys agree or disagree with that?
I mean, I think I agree. Everybody's tired of the winter. They're ready to get out. Once you kind of get past the spring break, that's when everyone starts looking, maybe making that move after school's out. So now's the time to look. They don't want to maybe change their kids' school district, so they want to make that transition. Usually May's a big closing month for me.
Absolutely.
So I would predict it will be for this year too. We've had a really, really cold, dreary winter. And I think people are ready to be out. The rates are helpful too. So I definitely think this spring is going to be a good market.
Oh yeah, I think absolutely.
Yeah.
Not only the state in the same school district, but people want to be in a home if
Mhm.
they're looking to change school districts.
Right.
Now is the time. And I know the
Yeah.
research kind of was some of the little research I did said that April 12th through April 18th is the prime week of the year to buy and sell real estate. I think also economists have said like 26 is off to a very good start, and more so than what 2025 was too. So interest rates may have something to do with it. Although I think for a little bit there we were at an all-time, or not an all-time low, obviously a 3-year low real estate wise.
Mhm.
Now they've creeped up a little bit and all that stuff, but still historically rates are low. And as realtors, I think you always have that conversation with sellers and buyers and sellers in particularly, people that are waiting. Oh, I'm going to wait for the rates to come down. Well, when they do, there's going to be more people in the market, more competition, and you're likely going to be paying more for that same house. So it's hard to, as an agent, I think at least, to give those facts without
Mhm.
kind of seem like you're you're being pushy.
Right.
Yeah.
But they are. I think they are facts.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I think my 2026 started off on fire. So I think it's going to be a good year. I think as long as we kind of really dig our heels in and start pushing all of this stuff forward, because I think the biggest misconception, in my opinion, is that people look at these statistics, but they look at them on a global level. They don't look at them on a local level.
Mhm.
So globally, we could be in, we're in this huge buyer's market. However, locally,
It could be a seller.
it can be a seller's market. It
Mhm.
can be that we're short on inventory and these sellers still have a
Mhm.
strong hold in the market. So I think knowing that market, that's where that really comes into play.
Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. I think, and right now, from what I was reading, I think inventory is still low, which makes it a seller's market. And I was reading 17% lower than like pre-pandemic inventory in terms of homes. So a lot of things, go into it when doing just a little bit of digging about spring, because it always seems obvious to me when the flowers are in bloom and the grass is green. Yeah, that's the best time to show your house. But just doing a little bit of things, I was even reading that if you were list your house in that hot April 12th through April 18th or whatever week,
Mhm.
it said on average that you would get, this is NAR, it says on average you get like 26 grand more for a house that if you would have listed that house in the beginning of January, for example. And I know
I believe that.
I know
Yeah.
you cleaned house in January. I think you had 13
I had 13
closings or something.
closings in January. I know I've had things in the past, and I do think we're going back to that more traditional market, where we're going to see the slowdown in the wintertime, the speed up, which is, it's kind of nice to be able to give that info to our clients and say, traditionally, here's what happened. Here's the best time. Because there for a while, it was so crazy
I agree.
that we couldn't predict things. I know I've got 5 listings coming up in that sweet spot in April. And right now in my hometown, there's only 6 active listings on the market, and none of them are below 445.
Yeah.
So if you've got someone out there looking at 300 to 400, and they want Waynesville School District, there's nothing to look at.
Hopefully here coming in the next couple of weeks, that'll change.
Yeah.
That's exactly how it
We will
is in
see.
the Wilmington,
Mhm.
Hillsborough area. I did a comp last
Mhm.
night and I called the seller and I just said, listen, here's the deal. You've put all the work in. It looks fantastic and you have no competition. So push the top because there's going to be buyers. There's going to be a lot of buyers
Mhm.
because there's nothing competing against you right now.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I think
Yeah.
that's that. I think that's that mid-April kind of rationale
Mhm.
is being the peak. Like I would have
Gonna
thought
beat
it would
it.
have been farther out than that, but I
Mhm.
think that's the rationale that middle of April is when there's going to be less competition. Where most people are probably leaning towards, probably mid-May,
Mhm.
Yeah.
if I had to guess.
And I've even seen where things slow down in June because everyone goes on vacation. So
Yeah.
I think it's even more important to be on the market before the end of May, before everyone gets out of school, they're traveling on their trip. I've had listings before where they've listed in October, and if they would have just listed in May, probably would have sold 15 days faster, would have had multiple offers, and probably got about a $5,000 or $6,000 more.
Oh yeah,
Yep,
I believe
agreed.
you.
Mhm.
Other tidbits I was reading was that week in April, the 12th through the 18th, homes typically go into escrow 10 days faster than the annual average.
Average.
If you go into that week, and also have like 19% fewer price reductions for
Well,
homes kind of
and-
sitting there.
And when there's nothing else out there, that buyer's going to be a little bit more aggressive on their offer. When they're going through inspections, they might not be as picky
Mhm.
because they may be able to overlook a few things because there's nothing else to look at.
Makes perfect sense.
That 200 to 300 right now. I mean, it's multiples almost every time, and
Mhm.
you're fighting for those homes.
Mm-hmm.
There's a huge buyer pool for that right now, and the grants that came out. So that's another thing that
Right.
you get in the springtime, early spring, is you get a lot of those grants. So you've got a little more buyer power. So if you've got low inventory in your area and you've got all these
Mhm.
troves of buyers, it's prime time.
And
I
then
mean,
people have done their tax returns.
Yep.
Maybe they have a proof of a higher income from that prior year, can help them with their pre-approval. They've got a tax return for their down payment. So it's kind of everything lining up to be the perfect buyer's market.
Yeah.
Sure. What kind of things do you ladies do? Like, what kind of things do you suggest your sellers? I guess you guys are pretty seller. You work with buyers and
Mhm.
sellers, but you guys are two of our heavier seller agents. I mentioned before, you can't think of your communities that you live in and think about real estate, not think about you guys. Is there anything specifically that you guys do, especially in the springtime, that you think just like carries a lot of weight? And I wanted to almost put this question a different way. Like, if I were to give you Xanni, or your seller rather, would give you 10 grand and you could do whatever you wanted with that for a spring listing, like, I guess I'll ask both of you that question. Like, what would you lean towards doing?
Curb appeal is huge.
Mhm.
You're coming out of winter. You've got where they've done, I mean, we've had a lot of ice and snow. So a lot of these driveways got plowed and they have destroyed the sides of the grass. They've destroyed the flower beds. So all of that, in my opinion, is huge, because what I believe it's like the first 8 seconds a buyer gets out of the car, they decide whether they like that house or they don't. So walking up
Mhm.
is a huge, it's gonna make a difference.
Mm-hmm.
10,000, man, that's a pretty good budget. I wish every seller gave me that. I would be in heaven. Honestly, freshening everything up, that's another big one. People don't realize, you've got kids, you've got life, you've got dogs. Paint is a huge thing. If you need to paint those walls, you need to get them painted, because it just freshens everything, makes it feel better, the decluttering. But honestly, curb appeal is going to be a huge one for me.
Yeah, I agree. I always tell someone, no matter the budget, whether it's a $150,000 house or a $500,000 house, if you are on a tight budget, the first thing is a deep clean. I don't care
100%.
if it looks like 1975 inside with shag carpet, a deep clean goes a long way. Because if you go to show a property and it's grandma's retro home, but it feels perfection, the buyer is going to feel confident, wow, they really cared for this property. Even though it's outdated, the quality is there.
Sure.
Definitely, I agree with Xanni. The curb appeal, fresh mulch, get that grass cut before the pictures. I just listed one in Centerville a few weeks ago, and she cut the grass. What a difference. When we did the drone
Huge.
photos, it shined with that fresh green cut. She freshened the mulch, pulled the weeds, get the cobwebs out.
Mm-hmm. I personally think that staging a home and listing in the spring are kind of like two things you would want to do. And I've even done it with my most current personal property of mine. I knew I was going to sell it. I didn't know exactly when, but it was probably late summer, early fall, and my flowers looked great. Everything looked nice. Obviously, all my furnishings and things were in there. Not that I have the greatest taste in the world and when it comes to home decor, but I intentionally had the videographers and the photographers over there because I knew, if I need to sell this place early in the spring or the perfect house comes up for me, I want to be ready. So I was very intentional about let's get all this marketing done when it looks its best.
I've done that a few
100%. I've done
times.
that too.
I had one in Xenia last year, and they were building new, and we went ahead and did all the photos. Why everything in the summertime looked great with all their furnishings in it. So everything looked occupied and ready to go. And then when I put it on the market, people were surprised when they walked in, there was no furniture, and it was wintertime. But we went ahead and got all that done with the anticipation of having some great photos and marketing for it ahead of time.
Yeah, makes a huge difference. I agree.
Now, you guys, I've said this more than once today. You guys are born and raised in the communities that you primarily serve. You don't just serve Waynesville or Wilmington. Obviously, you go elsewhere, and you have clients all over the greater Dayton, Cincinnati areas. And I hate to use the word specialize in your hometowns, but you two in particularly, and we've got others, but you two in particularly at Glasshouse have been, I mean, you're just, like I said it before, like Jamie Gabbard owns Waynesville when it comes to real estate, and Xanni is right there at Wilmington. And I'm just curious, like, was that always your plan for that to be the case, or was it just something that just naturally happened because you're born and raised there, you know everybody, everyone knows you and respects you and trusts you? Or was it something that you said, I want this to be the case, and intentionally went after that?
I don't think I went intentionally. My goal when I got into real estate was to do something I love and make $35,000 a year. That was my goal. So where I'm at now never was in the plan. I think when you want to jump into something, lean into something you already know. Because if you try to be something you're not going to be successful. Lean into what you know, and it'll just happen for you. My community has been so supportive. I just kind of hit the ground running I already shopped local, I already knew everyone local. So it wasn't something I tried to do after I got my real estate license.
Yeah.
I was already there. The local antique shop, I was already buying chandeliers there and getting furniture there. So when I became a realtor, it was like, oh, this girl Jamie that we already know now is a realtor, not we know a realtor named Jamie.
Sure.
So it was a little bit different. And I just really dove into what I know and the people I know, marketed to who I already knew me, and reminded them that I'm in real estate now. I probably on a weekly basis will receive 7 to 20 texts or calls from people. I need a painter. Who do you use for this? I need an electrician. And it's people I don't even know, but they're local. And that's still a touch of a service I can offer. So,
and they know that you'll know
yes,
the person to call.
Yes.
It's such an invaluable thing for real estate professionals to have these people in your back pocket. And then they know who to call.
And I usually won't refer anyone that I wouldn't let in my own house. So, if I'm going to give a name of a painter or a roofer, it's someone I trust.
Sure.
I definitely didn't either. In fact, I actually was not even local when I started. I was residing out of Xenia, Beaver Creek area. And so that was kind of a long haul. But those were the people that knew me, that knew, honestly, trusted me, trusted my integrity. And so I made the drive. And the drive was long. I mean, there were some people I was trucking an hour and 36 minutes one way to make these deals happen for them. And I stayed the course over years of doing it and providing, the top-notch service that I possibly could. And over time, that just led to more referrals and more trust. And then finally, I just said, I've got to get back home at this point. I'm ready to be close to home and really service the area. Service is huge to me. So being able to be back close to home and give back to the community and give back to the people that have given to me, because mine was a little different. Mine was more, I want to be able to take care of my kids. That was my goal. And so that definitely provided that. And that was a huge blessing. So I've just continued to, pour into the people in the community, and they pour back. So it's really nice.
And for our listeners that don't know, and I don't know, Xanni, you don't care if I say this.
Yeah, you're fine.
Xanni has 7 children. Now, I barely function with 2 children that I have half the time. Xanni has 7 children. and does what she does. And I think anyone that knows you and watches you on a daily basis is kind of in awe of how you keep it all together. But like somehow you do, and are extremely successful in real estate and as a wife. So
Thanks.
Kudos to you. I don't know if you have any secrets for anybody that's in real estate that's got, like me, that's got 2 kids and can barely keep it together or not.
That's a good one. I don't know. We honestly run like a fine-tuned machine. And I always tell people that. I'm like, I start them when they're really young. I teach them how to make their bed. And then by the time they're 5, they make their bed by themselves, and they make it better than most adults make their bed. And it's just like teaching them those tools to be successful in life. My parents never, they gave me a lot, but they never gave anything to me. Everything was earned. And even though they could have given me everything, they didn't. I had to work for it, and I had to show that, hey, like, I'm going to earn this. And this, my basketball shoes in school, I made gravel baskets, catch basin baskets for my dad's company to be able to pay for my basketball shoes. Now, could my parents pay? Yeah, 100%. But I had to earn it. So I do the same thing with my kids. And then it's just made life even easier because now they help me. So the middle girls, they clean the office every month and they get paid and they want to get their nails done. So that's how they get their nails done, is they clean my office. The older girls ran signs for me when they were when they got to the point they were driving. And it's just kind of been a family effort. But it's, I think, a lot of resilience. You have to have a lot of resilience in stuff like this, because there's a lot of things that can be challenging, but it's also a huge blessing. So,
yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. You guys both do exceptional in social media and just marketing in general. I've never been the greatest, at that. And I think just been fortunate to have a mouth on me where I don't know a stranger. I'll talk to anybody. I'll go up to a table at a restaurant where I don't know anybody there and spark up a conversation and make sure they know that, hey, I'm in real estate and things like that. But you guys do things really, really well from a marketing standpoint. And I just didn't know if you would be willing to share any kind of secrets with our listeners. And there's many, many thousands of them.
I would say mine is authenticity. I tell people that all the time. I'm like, be who you are. Like, me and Jamie are completely different lives, right? But we both are successful in it because we're who we are. Like, my life right now is consumed with children and sports and just the daily life. I'm very open about everything. I think because people have to meet you where you're at. If they can meet you where you're at and you can meet them where they're at, they feel safe with you. And building those relationships are very important in this business. People have to be more than a dollar sign. They have to mean something. And I know there's this, cliche, like, don't mix business and friendships and business and family. But at the end of the day, in my opinion, what makes you the most successful is you treat everybody like they're your family. And then they become that. And when they can relate to your life, then they trust you. And in my opinion, that's the most important thing. So I share everything. I just shared what we went through with my daughter, and people see that and they see, man, like, they're juggling that. They're still, she's still keeping her faith and she's still doing her job. If I can do it, anybody can do it. And I think that's where I kind of hone in a little bit.
I think we've chatted about that before, where, there's so many realtors out there that'll, every time they sell a house, there it is, pending. Oh, it's sold. Just every little thing, but they don't put so much personal on there, or they don't put so much, we were representing the Jamie Gabbard group at the Hometown Expo. They don't go and do those certain things. And I think that those things carry so much weight. And I could put, I sold this is pending. I could do that all day long. And no one really seems to care. But the moment I put a picture of my children on there,
yes,
I get more likes than anything, which is wonderful because my children are cute.
Yes, they are.
But when they're liking that, I'm guessing that they probably
You're
go
real
a
to
little
them.
bit further and are reminded, oh yeah, that's right, this guy's a Glasshouse guy, and he actually sells houses too, and it's a little bit of a refresher. But I think you guys both do well at that as well.
I was just at an auction. There was a house being auctioned off, so I went there with a client, and here came up another client that we had sold their house a few months ago, and she gave me a big hug, and she wanted to show me all the improvements that she did to her new home, and it's great that she's wanting to share that with me and excited about it. And but starting out with marketing, I kind of knew you've got to brand yourself in some way. And I was probably about a year in, and I decided, what can I do? And I went and bought this little orange Mini Cooper, and everyone in town knows that's me. So there's things in marketing they call touches. You need to touch somebody so much to remind them what you do every time. So if you sent a postcard, it would be a touch. Well, every time they saw my car driving down Main Street, I could be going to McDonald's, but there's that realtor girl in that orange car. So that became, I started putting on my card. I had it on my sign. And I think that really helped when people didn't know me. it made them know who I was. So on the social media aspect of marketing yourself is find what is already something you're not pretending to be something else, and again, lean into it and work with it.
Now, don't you buy the people behind you at McDonald's? Is that you?
Yes.
Or at least you have done that.
So yes, I would usually, anytime I'm in my Mini Cooper and I'm pulling through McDonald's, I'll pay for the person behind me. And when it was like, I got a call from a couple and talking to them, and they were in their 80s, and she's like, "You bought my husband a cheeseburger a few months ago."
Mhm.
Now, she already knew me. It's a funny story. She was my babysitter when I was 4. So,
Oh, wow.
but, he came home and said somebody bought him a cheeseburger. And sometimes it's a $2 purchase, sometimes it's a $20 purchase, but I always do the same action.
It's a small price no matter what it is.
Yeah.
Especially
But it's
if you're-
great to
especially if you're
do
at McDonald's.
little things like that in your hometown that, you could do that one thing that makes they could be having a bad day. And, maybe I paid for their coffee and it made them smile. So, you never know what somebody's going through, and if you could lift their day up a little bit.
Absolutely. Xanni, what kind of little things do you do in the Wilmington area these days? I know we were at the Holidazzle parade this past
Those
year
were
and
some
had
great
a
pictures.
complete blast.
That was so
there
fun, wasn't
where-
it? Oh my goodness, that was a blast.
Yeah, Xanni's family really came together for that one, and her agents. And then we got the benefit of just coming down there to be in the parade. But I mean, this thing shot fake snow out. There was smoke coming out of the chimney of the house that Travis and a couple other of the agents' husbands and Joe put
Joe
together.
Gray
Bobby.
did, yeah.
And it was just super cool. But
That was fun.
anything you just any little secrets of any kind to share?
Yeah. So I like to do where nobody knows. So I'm a giver, and I do it silently because the people know, and then they
agree.
share if they want to share.
Mm-hmm.
But I do at Christmas, I always do 3. I pick 3 random people. It doesn't matter where it's at, who it is. Honestly, if I just feel that it's the right time, then I will. So there was one time I was at the mall. I was actually getting my kids a couple pairs of shoes that they needed. And this little boy and his little family were just there, and he was just being so good. And the girls were clearly getting shoes, and they were with mom, and he just kept following them all around, and I watched it, and I actually paid for my shoes and left. And then I just couldn't. I went back in, and I went up to the mom. I said, "Listen, it's going to sound crazy, but I pick 3 people every Christmas and for the month of December, and I just bless them." And I said, he has been so good. I've got one little boy too, and a bunch of girls. And I said, "Would you care if I let him pick out a pair of shoes and buy them?" And she was like, "No, that's so amazing, And he picked out just the coolest pair of shoes, and we found them. They fit and did that, and it was really neat. But they found me on social media. She asked me my name, found me on social media, and so those are the type of things that I try to do silently because I think that's a big deal. I'll do donations to the school and not say anything about it for different things. But we do a lot of give back too. Like we do the Sleep in Heavenly Peace, which we love. It's really dear to us. They make beds. We have done like the bedding drive where we have donated a ton of the bedding that goes on these beds for these children that do not have beds in the community. I had just sponsored some fire safety courses as well because we unfortunately had a huge house fire that took the lives of several children and a mommy. And I had just recently gotten that request. And so we sponsored that because I think those are the things that we really need to do to give back to our communities. So we do a lot of little things like that we just do.
And I
more
think
quietly.
you'll find with Xanni and I looking in these tight-knit communities that, and because I have a physical office on Main Street, that you're going to get the knocks and the people coming in. So I've never said no to anything, whether it's a team meal that's $600 for the football team every year, the band. There's always something going on in town. One year when I was starting out, I told a local charity, I'm like, every house I sell, $50 is going to you. I think I bought the charity a whole new furnace that year.
Yeah.
And those were things like I've never advertised. If they share it, then I will share it. But I don't go and say, "Hey, I just wrote a check too.
Yes.
Look at me." It's more of, if they want to share it, that's fine. But that smaller community, you're going to have more of that personal things than probably being in a big city.
Agreed.
Well, you
Yeah.
guys do wonderful what you do. There's a lot of agents out there, and that I can tell you, and I'm sure you guys are aware, they don't do anything unless they see it as being mutually beneficial. Sure, they
Mhm.
may want to help the school district, or they may want to help whatever,
Mhm.
but there's always got to be a, how's this going to help me and help
Mhm.
my business? And it's clear from watching you guys and hearing your stories that that's not exactly the
It's
case
always
with you.
it's good, like your parade, and to do things fun.
Yes, it
So
was
we do the
so
4th
fun.
of July parade every year, and I put my Mini Cooper in it, and we started with, I put a bubble machine on top so all the kids are seeing the bubbles, and I hand every kid a bubble wand. The first year I ran out halfway down. I think last year we're up to about 900 bubble wands for that 4th of July parade.
We ran out of lights. we ran
It's
out
a
of
good
light
problem to
necklaces. So
have.
I think you were the last one, right? With them?
Yeah, I was trying to
Yeah.
conserve mine a little bit
Yeah.
because I had a feeling there was going to be lots more kids down there. So I was
Yeah.
hoarding mine
Mm.
Yeah.
just a little bit. But then, eventually you can only walk by so many kids who make eye contact with you and want
Mhm.
what you have in your hand.
Can
And,
we just talk about the candy cane outfit though?
That was
I
the
mean, like
best.
taking one for the team.
That was the
like,
best.
That was awesome. I was shocked
Well-
you guys actually were okay
I think
with
that
wearing
needs to
it.
be like the Glasshouse Christmas card next year.
Well, we'll do most anything
That was
really
awesome.
to
You
to
do.
have a good time, as you can probably see by our behind the glass
Yes,
logo. I guess you could call it our opener
against the glass.
against the glass
Yeah.
for behind
Yeah,
the
that was
glass.
awesome.
Yeah.
We'll do
Yeah.
most anything for a good time.
Yeah.
I suppose. But you guys do awesome work, and it's one of the other reasons, not just because you're kick-ass realtors, that I wanted to have you on
Mhm.
and talk about some of the things and hopefully inspire other people.
Well, and we've both got our own office.
Yeah.
We've both got our own team.
Mhm.
I just have one buyer agent, Amanda Stiles. She has given me my life back, handles, 90% of the buyers on my team. And I have Cindy Minth in the office. She's my full-time admin. So she's there Monday through Friday, 8 to 4. So even if I'm not in the office and someone comes in and says, hey, I'm interested in selling, or I want info on this property, she's there to help me out. So they make me look good.
Absolutely. Your team is always important. I know Xanni has a wonderful
100%.
team as
Mhm.
well.
Yes. And a fabulous admin. Yeah.
Yeah. So kind of going somewhat of a different direction. You two both have different opinions about coming soon properties. In some markets, they allow that. In Cincinnati, it's allowed. Dayton, they don't allow that. Zillow recently came out with Zillow Preview,
Mhm.
where it's essentially marketing coming soon properties. And then, of course, this goes back to the clear cooperation rule, which was passed in 2020, where that says, if you market a property in any way, shape, or form, even if it's a Facebook post
Mhm.
of a property, you have to allow people to see that house within the next 24-hour
Or you have to be on the market
period,
within
or have
24 hours.
to list it within 24 hours
So-
and let people actually view
So
the
those
property.
agents saying, I've got this coming up, and then you never see it coming up,
Yeah.
we're kind of hanging there.
But
Well, and I think there's a very gray area there too, with where are we really calling it advertising the property and
Mhm.
where are we not? Because some of them are dripping them very carefully and not giving address, not giving super big, in-depth specifics.
Mhm.
But they're saying, I have something in a certain county at a
Mhm.
certain price. Where are we at on clear co-op there?
Yeah,
Mhm.
it's hard to say.
Yeah.
It's hard to say. And the bigger corporation you are, and I don't ever want to speak names of competitors or the big corporates out there, but they have all these internal people and they have the inside list so that
Mhm.
everybody knows, and it's clear what that is doing. And I
Mhm.
don't blame them
Mhm.
from a business
Oh, yeah.
standpoint in terms of keeping listings in
Well,
house.
and you can't advertise outside, you at least, should be able to tell everyone at your broker. So if I
100%.
had a listing coming up in Lynchburg and it was on a delayed status, I'm going to call Xanni up and tell her about it, because
Yeah.
if anything, it's not going to be on the market for a month, but if she tells a buyer about it, they can drive by it and they'd be like, oh, we're not interested in that. But it makes them realize, hey, Xanni's on the
She's
know.
on it.
She at least told us about this ahead of time, and she's doing everything she can to find a property for us.
Yeah. And I think right now the standpoint is like Zillow, as an example, they kind of believe like if something's out there, everyone should be able to see it. And then if it's on
Mhm.
Zillow, likely, everyone's going to be able to see that.
Mhm.
Then you've got the bigger companies such as a Compass or the Anywhere brands that believe the seller should be able to decide who sees it and when. That makes perfect sense as well. And then you've got NAR and the folks in behind the scenes that are looking to find a common ground, like a flexibility there in between the two things. So, but I don't see it going away. I don't see coming soon as coming away. I think people are going to have to adopt to it. A consumer should be able to decide if it's what's best for them, or if not, we work for them at the end of the day. I know, Jamie, you are a huge proponent of delayed entry and have been using that to your seller's advantage for a long time. So I wanted to get your kind of perspective on that.
Well, for me, the delayed entry is if I'm going to work with a seller and let's just say they need to do some painting. They want me to help them pick a paint color out. They want me to pick the doorknobs out. Maybe they need my plumber or electrician. And if I'm putting in a month of service before we're going to go on the market, I want them signed and locked in with me. Because it's so devastating when you pour yourself into a buyer and give them all of these things. And then they're like, oh, well, my neighbor's cousin's brother, sister just got their real estate license. And, we're going to give them their first listing. And you've done all this work and resources. So to me, the delayed listing protects my time. Also, I can then share it with the other Glasshouse agents and let them know, hey, I've got this coming up. I can tell some of my buyers, we've got this coming, drive by. Oh, no. Or yes, let me know when it's ready. So I think it's a win for a listing agent to do the delayed listing.
Just going back to selling in general, sure, there's tactics such as a delayed entry or coming soon and things like that. But if you could each just give me like one tip that you would give a seller when approaching a listing date.
Approaching the listing date, or just like if we were to go into a listing appointment?
Just one tip you would give to a seller. I would,
listen to the data.
Listen to the data. The data does not lie.
And
no, it does not.
I think everyone has went through this. It's a realtor. You could go on a listing appointment and run over in the comps and give a range. Like if we listed right now, here's what I think we would list at. And then they call you 6 months later. Things can change. They can change for the good. They can change for the not so good. And as soon as you have two homes in your neighborhood that sell for $10,000 less than what we were planning on listing at, well, now you've got new comps the appraiser is going to use, and maybe we're not going to be able to sell in October as well as we could have sold in April.
Sure. As is a topic of our discussion, kind of mainly today, the time of year certainly matters. I think I've always been pretty blunt, but then the longer I've been in this, the more blunt I am, and I typically say the same things to sellers when I go on a listing appointment. It inevitably comes up when I ask them what do you hope to get for your house? Because I think it's important that you ask that question, obviously. But then I go back to the blunt me and I say, I want you to just understand this. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter what I think your house is worth. And unfortunately, it doesn't matter what you think your home is worth.
What someone's willing to pay.
All that matters is what someone's willing to pay, what the market says it's worth. Someone could offer you $100,000 more than it's worth, but there's going to be an appraisal.
It just takes one buyer to really want it,
Yeah. So,
but I think explaining that goes a long way. I try to do my best at explaining, hey, you could sit on the market and wait for that one buyer if that's what you want to do, but it's a needle in a haystack. It's going to affect your sellability long term the longer you're on the market. So I'm going to now leave this in your hands, and you're going to be the one to make that decision, because I can't make it for you. I'm giving you every bit of the data. I'm giving you the numbers. I'm telling you what's going to happen, and you get to make the decision from there.
Absolutely.
So the power's still in their hands, still in their hands. But at the end of the day, when it doesn't sell, when there's been multiple price drops, now they know why. They've been informed. Yeah.
I personally come from a counseling background. I think you guys probably both know that I was a licensed counselor, and they always told you, give information, not advice. And that's honestly what made me a poor counselor, because I was very, very much, why would you do that? You need to do this.
No.
You know what I mean? But I have segued over the years into real estate, and just trying to do my best to give that information and very much to stray away from too much advice. And like you said, Xanni, put the onus on them.
And I remember having a listing appointment, and the gentleman said, don't bring any comps. My house is special. And you get there, and then I email the comps. Your comps are wrong, and then I see it listed for $150,000 more than what I advised. And 2 realtors later, he ends up selling it for right around what I told him to list it at almost a year later.
Oh, sure.
Yep.
But
those are kind of the fun ones.
Well,
when you sit back and you're like,
I bet most every realtor can tell that story, you know, and it's just like, oh my gosh. But, you know, it is what it is. At the end of the day,
I tell them I can stick a sign in your yard all day long, but I won't do it. I'm going to give you the right prices. I'm not going to lie to you just to get my sign in your yard. Yep. I have a job to do. I'm a professional. You're hiring me to be the professional that you're asking me to be. Here's what I've got to give you.
And our time's important. This is time away from your kids.
Oh, yeah.
If you're listing a property $150,000 too much, and then they're calling you asking you why, Xanni, why isn't this selling?
Yep.
And
you're doing 100 open houses for nobody to show up.
Yeah. And when you're a successful realtor, it's like you may not say it to that seller, but you're at least thinking in your head, like, I don't want my name on this thing sitting here for 4 or 5 months, 6 months, just because
it's not a good look. It looks like you don't know what you're doing.
It's not a good look. It's not a good look. Ladies, this part of our podcast, we like to try to go to something we want to kind of enact as we progress each episode, and we want to call it breaking the glass. I don't know if that's the best name or not, but that's what we're going to go with for right now.
Okay.
And basically, all this is, because I think there's a lot of these stories that exist, and I think listeners like enjoy it, whether you're in real estate or not. But people ask me all the time, like, man, what's the craziest thing that's happened to you as a realtor, or on a showing, or a client that, you know, did this or did that? And everyone's got those stories that I think are pretty intriguing or crazy or fun, but I just think it's a kind of a nice way to end our podcast. So we want to try to do that. And I was trying to think of some things. I want to hear what you guys have to say, most certainly. And I was thinking of things, and one in particular comes to mind when there was when I found a body, basically. I didn't necessarily find it, and I won't even get into great details on, just out of respect for the family. But I can tell you, like, now that knowing what I know now, I knew that I should have known that was the case, and I can remember that today. Just, I mean, there was literally, I should have known right when I walked in there, although I had never really necessarily smelled a decomposing body per se, maybe like an animal. But I should have known what I was getting myself into, and just the amount of flies that were there. And the most hurtful part of it is this was an older person who had been there, you know, for however long before I was there, which meant to me, no one had even checked on this poor lady for, you know, that amount of time. And that was kind of the most.
Was it a showing?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Oh, God love you.
Yeah. Yeah. So that was a weird one for me. I also walked in a house one time and this was before marijuana was somewhat legalized and mainstreamed or whatever, but you could smell the marijuana from 10 feet away from the house. And then I go and I walk in the house. There's nothing to be found whatsoever, but there's like a TV screen that is like split into 6 different cameras or camera feeds. I didn't see any cameras or anything like that either, but I'm just like standing in the middle of this living room. There's got to be tons of marijuana somewhere. And all I see is like this one TV with all these different camera angles on it. And I still went through the house with the client, but never once found any weed. So all I had to go off of was like, this had to have been like in the floors, in the walls, or something along those lines. Yeah, but it was, I don't know, just certain little scenarios like that. You're like, wow, just another day in the life of a real estate agent sometimes. But I don't know if you guys had anything interesting like that. not that either one of my stories was really interesting.
I think we all get like the phone calls, and maybe just something I'll mention. When you text a realtor, there is something to be said about text etiquette.
Oh, yes.
And you say, I had one I specifically remember, and it was a listing I had in Waynesville, and they said, how much for the house on 5th Street? And I said, oh, I'm sorry, I don't have your name saved in my phone. I'd be happy to help you with any real estate questions. Forget about it. They didn't want to give me their name. But what this gentleman doesn't realize, I think he just was a nosy neighbor or someone, an investor in the area. This is my safety. When you call in and you text me and ask me for details on a property, you're engaging in my time. And you wouldn't believe the texts and calls that I'm sure Xanni gets, and I probably don't get as many as you do. You're younger, but I had a doozy around last July where a gentleman texted me and asked about something, and I said, "Who is this?" He told me his name, and then proceeded to ask, let's just say for paid dates. And he knew I was a realtor. Then I stopped responding, and then he was calling my house at midnight, and I kind of asked a friend that was a cop, and he goes, "Tell him it's unwanted." I told him it was unwanted, and he said, "Oh, sorry," and then he started up again. So then we ensued to a police report, and nothing was ever done until my father called him and basically said it wouldn't be safe if you called my daughter anymore.
Dad stepped in.
And then the phone calls and everything stopped. But if I could tell anyone, learn text and email etiquette.
Mm-hmm.
Xanni, got anything interesting?
To touch on you, I had a stalker in this business, unfortunately. Apparently he came through an open house. I don't know. That's what ended up coming from the person, apparently. But basically he stalked me for months, would call unknown or blocked, and he would say absolutely horrific things. Told me he knew who my children were. He knew where my children got on the bus. He knew my family. And it got so significant that there had to be subpoenas for phone records, and he was brought in, and they could not pin the actual phone on him. So nothing got done. But unfortunately, he stalked me for a long time, and it was frightening because you go into these homes that are vacant, and you meet people that you've never met a day in your life, and you're just hoping and praying that, you're going to be safe. So this industry is definitely something you got to take very seriously, is your safety for sure, because you just never know.
I bring ride-alongs.
Yes, same. Yeah, my husband goes with me a lot of places. God love his heart, but he does, just out of safety.
Oh, yeah.
I've got some funny ones, but those, I don't know if they're appropriate.
Well, I already screwed that up, I think, with my stories.
What do you mean?
Mine weren't appropriate.
Well, mine are
Feel free.
Mine was an accident. It literally was. I was so humiliated. But I had just met this young couple. They had one little girl, baby on the way, and mom and little one were in the other room, and we had walked into basically the utility room, the husband and myself, and there was like a big crack down the basement wall, and had been filled with what looked like just mixed concrete. Like it was definitely a do-it-yourself job. And he's like, "Oh my goodness, like, what is that?" And I said, "Well, obviously there was a crack, and it looks like maybe the homeowner has done it themselves." And he's like, "I mean, is that right?" I'm like, "No." And I said, they will inject it with like kind of this epoxy stuff. And it's just like a much better option that the professionals use. And he's like, "Well, what's epoxy?" And as I'm like touching it and explaining it, I tell him that it is like a hard but like rubbery caulk. And I am genuinely saying like caulk, like caulk that you use on, around the bathtub and around the trim and stuff like that. But it comes out, and I'm like, oh my gosh. I mean, instantaneously, because I am like so by the book, and I'm so careful, and I never want to offend anybody. And so I like anxiety. I mean, I can feel my chest hiving. And so then I try to correct myself. And I just reiterate it the same exact way.
You're digging a deeper hole.
I like turn around to tell him like, "No, like it's like a hard but rubbery caulk." And then I'm like, I'm done. So I just turn around, and I can just feel myself like, oh my gosh, I cannot believe this just happened. They're never going to use me. I'm going to be in trouble.
They're always going to remember you.
Oh my goodness. So it wasn't 5 seconds. So I was like, well, let's go look at the HVAC. Let's go look at the hot water heater. I'm like trying to move on. And then I just hear him bust out laughing behind me. And then I like turn around and I start laughing. I'm like, oh my God, thank God. I was like, I am so sorry. I was like, I didn't even know how to fix this. And he's like, that is the funniest thing I have ever heard in my life. And I was like, oh my gosh. Then his wife comes in, he tells his wife, and it was like a whole to-do, and probably will go down as the funniest, most embarrassing thing I've ever done in real estate.
And they'll never
so
use
far.
a different realtor than you.
Yeah, never.
Probably not.
It was-
Got to be lighthearted.
Oh,
in this
gracious.
business.
Yeah.
I'm sure they did think
It was
think
funny.
It was funny.
Yep.
Got anything else, Jamie, that you can think of?
No, I mean, not a funny story, but a very different story of, always people think realtors are pushy. And I think you and I are
Oh,
not
yeah,
pushy.
not at all.
We're here if you need us kind of
Mhm.
people. I had a listing appointment once where the family, they had bought their house. They had built up quite a bit of equity in it. I think they had about $200,000 in equity, and they wanted to downsize, and they wanted to take this equity to purchase a business or a family business. And I was running the numbers, and I said, "What interest rate are you at?" And they're like, "We're at 3%." And I said, "If we sell this and buy a 400,000, you're going to be at 7%." I said, "Just stay here and get an equity line of credit."
Mhm.
And they couldn't believe that I told them not to sell. But I said, "You've got the equity here. You're going to be downsizing to a house that doesn't fit your family." And they're like, "I can't believe that." And I'll still run into them. And there's another older couple that had called me in to sell. And they're like, "We need to downsize." And I'm like, "You're at 1,300 square foot ranch. Well, we can't do the yard." I said, "I can give you someone to mow your grass. I can hook you up with a home cleaner."
Yes.
Because they like to watch the birds. They still reach out to me. They needed a roofer. And this was 3 years ago. I went on a listing appointment. And they're like, "We're so glad we're still in our house." So we're here for information. We're not pushy. And they said, you passed up on a sale, but I said, "Who are you going to send to your friends to?"
That's absolutely right. Yeah.
Mhm.
I'll never forget that. And what a breath
Yeah.
of fresh air for most people. I would think it is a very hard business not to seem pushy,
Mhm.
Yeah.
even when you're really trying not to be,
Mhm.
and talking someone out of buying.
Yeah.
Kudos.
Yeah, I do that a lot. I tell a lot of people, like, listen, I'm going to
Mhm.
shoot straight with you. There are going to be sometimes you probably don't like me because I am going to tell you this is not the one. Don't buy
No.
this.
Oh, yes.
Now I will write it if you want me to, but I'm going to tell you if it's not the one. My job is to protect you, and I take that very seriously.
Well, like you said, Jamie,
So-
like so many people, I'm sure, how many people have those folks told
Mhm.
that story too, probably.
Right.
Yeah.
And then you get that.
And so I'm going to get new clients that automatically trust me because their friend or their someone they went to church with.
Mhm.
I had a couple one time, they were young and they went to a very big church and someone referred them to me, and I didn't go to that church, and showed them a house. And I remember going through it, and I'm like, it was on the hillside and the pool was way down here.
Mhm.
And I'm like, "I don't know, guys, you're going to have kids." I said, "I just don't think about every time you need a glass of water from the pool, you're going to pick up all these steps." I said, "There's a wave in the floor. Look how this isn't level." So we went through the house, and they're like, "Yeah, I don't think this is the one." And about 4 months, showed them homes, found one in Centerville. And after it was all said and done, I remember talking to them. I said, "Just out of curiosity, why did you pick me? I bet there's 10 realtors at your church." I said, "That first house you showed us, you just didn't try to push it on us. You wanted to find us a home, not just sell us a house."
Mhm.
So that goes a long
Makes a
way.
huge
And they've
difference.
referred friends to me.
Yeah.
So
Trust factor.
I was somewhere like a couple weekends ago and ran into some old clients of mine, and I asked them how their house was and everything, and they, "Oh, it's great. We just had to do this. We have just these like deferred maintenance
Yep.
issues." I think it was probably water. I think in the basement during all that at the
Oh,
end of the snow and
yes.
rain and all that kind of stuff, and they just had made the comment. They're like, "You told us not to buy that, not to buy
Yes,
that house," and I was
and
like,
you
"I
did
did,"
anyways.
but you must have.
Yeah.
But but glad you like it. But people appreciate that.
Yeah.
People appreciate honesty and integrity in this business. And there's a lot of good realtors out there that don't possess that. But I truly believe that the folks that do are going to get way, way, way further. I mean, reputation matters so much to us. And I know at Glasshouse in particularly, like we just want to find the most reputable, wonderful people outside of real estate. And I can say, like, when we brought you guys on and we're lucky enough to have you, it was way much more like, wow, those people, they have so much integrity, and it very much outweighs the business that you do, even though you guys do exceptional volume of business. But that means more, and I know it certainly means more to a consumer when it comes to referring you to other people, which is how realtors make their living, is by referrals.
That was a
So-
big part of why I chose Glasshouse. Was I like things done by the book. I mean, I think anybody that knows me knows that I'm like that. So that was a big part, and what made me choose you guys was that there was integrity, there was trust, there was things were done right the way they should be and taught, and there were the avenues to learn if you didn't know. That was a big part of my decision for sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We appreciate that.
Yeah, and it's just a great community. I walk in the door, everyone says hi. You know everyone. They're welcoming. If you need something in Springfield, hey, I've got a listing appointment here. Can you help me with this? This is not my normal area, and this is where my comps are. Just tell me, am I right or wrong?
Well, Tyler Hicks helps me so much.
Yep. You've got somebody to bounce some things off of.
For sure.
So definitely considering, I sell a lot of Warren County, Greene County, Montgomery County. So once I get north of Montgomery County, sometimes I need a little help. And I think Glasshouse is right in the middle there for me to have that
100%.
Opportunity to ask people.
Oh, thanks for the kind words. As you get bigger, it's harder to keep that familial feel. And we touched on this on our last episode, but I can honestly say it's like folks like you who are Xanni in Wilmington and Jamie down in Waynesville, off the beaten path from downtown Dayton where we originally started. And the more you grow, like I said, the harder it is to keep that culture intact. But when you bring on folks like you guys, and it's very much beneficial in that you guys have that vision. You have that, you were raised right. You want to have the same thing established within your offices and in your communities. So we're the lucky ones. There's no doubt about that. So I appreciate you guys joining us today on Behind the Glass. And I can tell you, I guess I don't really have to plug you two ladies too much, but if anyone's interested in buying or selling anywhere close to Waynesville or the Wilmington communities, I don't think you can probably go ask 10 people, and at least 9 of them are going to give these ladies names out, and there's a reason for that. So really much appreciate having y'all. It's good to see you because we don't get to see each other every single day or anything like that, but when I get to see you, I greatly appreciate it. So thank you for joining us on Behind the Glass.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Thanks for listening to Behind the Glass by Glasshouse Realty. Want to learn more? Go to glasshouserealty.com/podcast.